first I'm going to tell you there's a couple of people here who aren't so familiar with Lloyd. And most of us know various things about Lloyd and a lot of mystery about Lloyd. He's kind of our mystery man. But I will tell you a few things, and you could read more if you get our newsletter. Lloyd's an ordained fellowship of the Inner-Light minister. He currently serves on our pastoral council and is the treasurer on our board of directors. He has been blessing us a lot behind the scenes and sometimes in front of the scenes. He's our internet technician person and our sound technician. He's a Canadian and a citizen of the United States, and he assists our nation with his work at Langley Air Force Base and a high-clearance job as a part of national security. Lloyd is also ordained, as some others in our congregation are, in the Order of Melchizedek through the Sanctuary of the Beloved in New York, and in the Fellowship of Isis. People think of Lloyd as a man for all seasons. He's a scientist, an actor, comedy improv performer, voiceover performer, and a music aficionado. If you want to ask him anything about music history or music theory, just Google Lloyd. And he did play the viola. The secret's out, Lloyd. He played the viola in high school. And he does specialize in math, physics, and metaphysics. And he believes in the power of prayer, the power of healing, and recognizes all healing modalities that work to bring in healing. All healing modalities. People have many different ways that they bring that in, and it's all very beautiful and will be happening today. And everyone sitting in your seats today is part of that healing energy, because if you're sitting in a seat and there are practitioners working up here with people, send your love, send your energy to assist both parties. And it's a beautiful whole in the circle of life. So let's welcome Lloyd to come on up.
Healing can be a tricky thing because the earth plane is a tricky thing. Jesus knew this. He told his disciples, "Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." Divine, eternal, celestial beings such as ourselves inhabiting physical animal bodies. That certainly sets the stage for some complexities. I've studied physics almost all my life. I find it incredibly useful. I might say it's the most useful of any of the sciences, especially since many other sciences spring from it. But physics is a subset of metaphysics. Indeed, the word metaphysics literally means beyond physics. So physics is, by definition, a subset of metaphysics. Jesus walked on water. Is that consistent with Archimedes' principle? No, but he did it. Speaking of Jesus, let's look at one of his more famous healings. There are several things to be learned from it, and why not learn from the best? Jesus was traveling, and he was approached by a ruler of the synagogue named Jairus. Jairus implored Jesus to come to his home and heal his 12-year-old daughter who was at the point of death. Then a messenger arrived and told Jairus, "Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master?" But Jesus said to Jairus, "Be not afraid, only believe." And Jesus went anyway. In those days, when someone died, professional mourners would be hired to come and wail for the deceased person. And this is exactly what Jesus found when he arrived. And the first thing Jesus said was, "All you mourners, out. Out of this room, out of this house. And anyone else who believes the child is dead, out." Jesus wanted the only people present to be those who believed and accepted and knew that the child may be alive. Group energy. Very helpful. Jesus then took the child by the hand and said, Talitha cumi, maiden, I say unto thee, arise. See, the people present can affect the healing, positively or negatively. So you're all involved in this today, even if you just sit there. Jesus then commanded that she be given something to eat, to physicalize the healing, and the idea that she's alive. Otherwise, it's just a really good idea in the astral plane. There's lots of really good ideas in the astral plane. The trick is to physicalize them. Spirit into substance. The name of the game in the earth plane. And that's the benefit of ceremony. Ironically, sometimes it's better not to know too much. If they'd taken x-rays or performed a CAT scan, it might have been harder to maintain the belief that she's alive. There was a near-death experience where the person was dying of cancer. And prior to the NDE, blood samples had been taken and sent to the lab. During the NDE, the person was offered a choice. If you choose to stay on Earth, the lab results will come back clear. If you choose to go, they'll come back as stage 4 cancer. So the lab results would be in accordance with the person's choice. But remember, the samples had already been taken. They were sitting on the shelf down in the lab, waiting to be analyzed. That's a good thing. If someone had analyzed them, the decision would be made. It's like Schrodinger's cat. You don't know if the cat's alive or dead till you open the box. We all know that sometimes psychic or energetic or metaphysical healings appear to work, and sometimes they don't. Everyone wants an immediate, complete, obvious, physical healing. And sometimes that's exactly what happens. And I know that that is possible. I've seen it. People I know and trust have seen it. Everyone hears a big crunching of bones and a leg that's been deformed from birth is perfectly straight. Verily I say unto you, as one human being to another, I know that can happen. It can happen. It has happened. It does happen. But it doesn't always happen. What if it doesn't? Does that mean the healing method is bogus? No. Does that mean the healing practitioner is phony? No. Does that mean you aren't worthy of healing? No. Does that mean that God simply doesn't care? No. Shakespeare said, "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves." God isn't wrong. The universe isn't wrong. If anything is wrong, it's our understanding of the universe. Maybe not wrong, more like incomplete. Here's a couple of examples. At the ARE, you sometimes hear the story about the prayer group in its early days when Edgar Cayce was still alive. A person was seriously ill, and the group prayed that she would be healed. But the person died soon after, and no one could understand how things could go so wrong, and they all blamed themselves. Man, I shouldn't have had that big steak and that big pile of fries right before the healing meeting. That must have corrupted the energy. Or, oh, that was the morning I had that big fight with my husband. I must have brought some of that energy to the meeting. It's my fault. Believe me, there were some pretty long faces going in for that check reading. Each person was blaming themselves and expecting a harsh rebuke. And they did get a rebuke, but not the one they expected. When I asked the question, why was the person for whom we prayed not healed? The answer from source was, this group judges too much by appearances. Know that the person for whom you prayed has been healed, and she now walks with the Master whom she loves. In some situations, full healing is simply not available at this vibratory level. You need to go to the divine realms to achieve it. And keep in mind that from our vantage point here in the earth plane, we simply don't have the complete picture of what's going on. A certain person had been starting a practice of meditation, but nothing seemed to be happening. He thought, this is crazy. I'm sitting here, it's dark, I don't see anything, I don't feel anything, there's nothing going on here. So we had a psychic reading to see what the problem was. And he received the following information from the angelic realm. You should see it from our side. Much has been accomplished. Continue your practice, and a breakthrough will be apparent very soon. So if you don't feel one bit different after our healing session today, and that's possible, doesn't matter. Do not assume that nothing happened. It just isn't obvious yet. And remember, we are limitless beings, made in the image and likeness of God. In a psychic reading, Jesus once gave me a really good piece of advice, but of course it applies to everyone. Jesus said, do not accept any limitation that you have placed on yourself or that others have placed on you. Accept only the limitless possibilities that I present. We were created limitless. So if you feel that you have any unwanted limitations, drop them. They're not yours. They never were. They're acquired. And anything acquired can be unacquired. No doubt at some point in your soul history, it seemed to make sense to acquire some limitations for some reason. For example, many of us took a vow of poverty at some point. Well, seemed like a good idea at the time. But if it doesn't serve you now, drop it. I don't care when it was that you chose to take on whatever physical limitation you might currently be experiencing, or why it was. I don't care. God doesn't care. Nobody cares. If it no longer serves you, drop it. So this concludes my opening remarks. So we can stop the recording now. And now we get to work. But don't worry, the yoke is easy and the burden is light.